When we talk about zodiac signs today, we usually think of horoscopes, personalities, romantic compatibility, and even Japanese cartoons. But the zodiac, long before all those interpretations, was a very ancient way of looking at the sky. Here we explain how this system of astronomical observation originated and why the signs have the Spanish names you know today. The zodiac was born thousands of years ago as an ingenious way to organize the observable sky. The very word zodiac came into Spanish through the Latin zodiacus, which in turn comes from the Greek zodiakos, meaning related to animals. And in the astronomical tradition, the zodiac is the celestial band through which the sun appears to move throughout the year, a band related to the ecliptic, and it's organized into 12 signs, each spaced 30 degrees apart. That organization into 12 equal sectors was not originally consolidated in Greece, as you might think, nor in Rome, nor in Egypt, but in Babylon, towards the end of the 5th century BC. Then it spread to the Greek world. Egypt entered that history later, especially during the Ptolemaic period. By the 19th century, the zodiac was already circulating as a system, and proof of this is the famous Dendera zodiac. Then Rome inherited that repertoire, and Spanish in turn inherited almost all the names through Latin. In other words, when we say today, I'm a Virgo or I'm a Sagittarius, we're usually using a Latin name that sometimes preserves and sometimes reinterprets an older image of it. Therefore, let's move on to analyze the etymology of each of the 12 signs. Number 1, Aries. Aries comes directly from the Latin word Aries, which means the ram. Now, from that same Latin noun come other words from the same family, among them the verb arietar, from the Latin arietare, which means to charge like a ram, and also ariete, which is the battering ram, called that by analogy with the charge of the animal. Aries, arietar, and ariete are related, but Aries does not come from arietare. Strictly speaking, it's accurate to say that they all belong to the same lexical family, whose core is Aries, the ram. Number 2, Taurus. Taurus has an even cleaner etymological history. The Spanish term toro comes from the Latin taurus, which means the bull. In the most influential Latin dictionaries, Taurus is recorded as both the animal and the zodiac constellation, so it is clear that Spanish inherited a learned form very close to the original. In addition, classical lexicography notes that Taurus is cognate with the Greek word, so we are dealing with a deeply Indo-European term. Number 3, Gemini. Gemini comes from the Latin Gemini, which is actually the plural of the noun geminis, meaning twin, double, or born at the same time. So literally, Gemini means twins. This sign has always been controversial because of the duality implied in its etymology. Number 4, Cancer. This interpretation requires caution. In Spanish, we usually think of the disease first, but etymologically the starting point comes from the Latin cancer, which means crab. It has been established that in classical Latin, both meanings coexisted, both the zodiac sign and the disease. That is to say, it didn't go from medicine to astronomy or from astronomy to medicine in essence. In Latin, it already conveyed that polysemy. Number 5, Leo. The Latin word Leo comes directly from the Latin Leo, or leonis, which means the lion. That Latin form, in turn, is borrowed from the ancient Greek leon, which already shows us the documented path of its cultural transmission from Greek to the Romance languages. The interesting thing is that in Spanish, the original Latin name endured and was preserved as a learned word, that is, as a form taken directly from the original language, without undergoing the characteristic phonetic changes of Spanish. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when there's a new video. Number 6, Virgo. The Spanish term Virgo comes directly from the Latin Virgo or Virginus, which means maiden, young woman, or virgin. Just like what happened with the sign Leo, the name Virgo did not adopt the evolved Spanish form virgin, but instead kept the original Latin nominative. Once again, we are dealing with a learned word, but with a key peculiarity. In this case, the popular form virgin ended up having enormous cultural significance in the Christian religious sphere, whereas Virgo was reserved exclusively for astronomical and astrological usage. Number 7, Libra. This sign comes from the Latin word Libra. Within the Zodiac series, it stands out for a very important reason. It doesn't name an animal or a human figure, but rather an object. Since classical times and throughout astronomical tradition, Libra has been associated with the scales. That uniqueness makes it extremely rare within the zodiac. If we look at the complete list, Libra breaks the zoological pattern that dominates most of the set of signs. Number 8,
Scorpio.
The ray gives us a very useful account of the origin of this sign, which comes from the Latin Scorpio, or Scorpionis, and this from the Greek Scorpios. Let's note that although there is an attempt to respect the original Latin name, the word in Spanish took on one of the characteristic features of this language, and that is the modification with an initial E added to the word, to avoid the non-existent pronunciation of a pure S at the beginning of the word. The same phenomenon that happened with other words like especial or espiritu. Number 9,
Sagittario.
Spanish takes the word Sagittario from the Latin Sagittarius, and the Latin dictionary itself indicates that Sagittarius is derived from sagitta, which means arrow. In Latin, therefore, Sagittarius means the archer, the fighter with a bow and arrows. It's interesting to point out that in Spanish there is also the word saitero, which is a direct derivation from Latin, and the RAE defines it as a soldier who fought with bows and arrows. Number 10, Capricorn. The word Capricorn comes from the Latin Capricornus, which breaks down into capr plus cornu, something like goat horn or horned goat, which in practice is understood as an animal with goat-like features and horns. Number 11, Aquarius. This term comes from the Latin aquarium, which means the water bearer or the water carrier. But in its Babylonian origins, the sign that the Greeks and Romans later identified as Aquarius did not exactly mean the water bearer. In the Babylonian zodiac lists, it appears as Mulgula, which is usually translated as the Great One, and which would later be interpreted in the Greco-Roman world as the water bearer. Number 12, Pisces. It's quite curious that although Pisces literally means fish in Latin, the plural in Latin is Pisces, which is the way this sign is recorded in the Latin language. That is, although the sign was originally created to represent fish, Spanish curiously adopted its name only in the singular form. And what's your zodiac sign? Did you know the origin of these signs? Leave us your opinion in the comment box. And that's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I also encourage you to turn on the notification bell so you'll know when there's a new video. See you soon.